Chapter 9. Entering a Harvard Law School in September 1988, Barack Obama was 27. He was older than most of his classmates, and his experiences was broader, although he had accomplishments nearly as much as he wanted to as a community organizer. He had learned a great deal from his years in Chicago. His trip to Keeneland, too, had helped him show how it intended to lose his life. He now had a clear idea. He now had a clearer idea of his goals, and he had the discipline to achieve them. Barack spent most of his 3 years of law school in the library, reading, studying, and writing. Researching a legal case and suits was often intense, and sometimes the legal arguments were pretty detailed. Barack saw also that laws could be used by people with power, merely as a way to control the people without power. However, the main results of his studies was to deepen his respect for the law, especially the Constitution, the undergirding of the U.S. legal system. Later, he described in American law as the record of a long-running conversation. A nation argument was its concerns. When Barack studied the law, he also worked as a resource hour for the profession. The famous legal scholar Lawson 12. This was valuable experiences because 12 was one of the foremost liberty constitution law experts in the country. He frequently presented a case before the U.S. Supreme Court. 12 later remembered Barack Obama as his most amazing resource. At the end of his first year of law school, Barack was selected as one of the 17 student endeavors the Harvard Law revealed. This was an honor because the endeavors were selected on the basis of their first year grades and their entering in a written competitor as well as recommendation for instruction and other students. The early 1990s was a period of racial discord at Harvard. A group of black students conformed at the university, asking for more male representation of the faculty. Derek Bell, an African American and an autonomous professor at Harvard Law School, resigned his position in 1992 in protest over the lack of women of color among the faculty. Barack was deeply impressed with Bell's action, and he gave a speech praising Bell and calling for a more representative faculty. Otherwise, he was not much involved in the dispute over racial issues. Barack was actually in the Black Law Students Association, but he made good friends among both black and white students. His focus for the most part was on combating injustice for poor people. At one meeting of the black students at Harvard's Law, Medical and Business schools, the topic of this session was whether they wanted to call themselves black or African American. Barack's opinion was that it didn't matter very much, as his friends Crudup butts remember it. He told the meeting, whether we call black or African American doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference. Having a lot of difference to the lives of people who are working hard, living day to day in Chicago, in New York, Barack took part in the entrepreneurial movement on the Harvard campus in the little since his academic college days. When he first realized what an important issue the apartment was, there had been some hopeful deployments for South Africa. In 1986, Congress had passed the compulsory in Parliament Act over President Reagan's veto. This law banned all new U.S. trade and investments in South Africa. The law was to remain in effect until the white South African government eliminated upon it and released ANC leader Nelson Mandela from prison. At the end of his second year in 1990, Barack was elected president of the Harvard Law Review. This was a great honor, and the competition was French as the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review. Barack made the national news after his election was announced in February. Barack was chosen as president partly because of his high-quality work in his course, but also because he had a reputation for not taking sides in the bill of politician and personal arguments that raised through the law school. Although Barack was politician of liberty, conversation respecting him as a fundamental thinker. He could see their point of view, even if he didn't agree with it, since he had to manage the 70 strong relays to it and deals, as well as all the other legal rules who were to be published in the Harvard Law Review. This far-minded approach served him well. His portion as president was to lie and rage, on appearance to be expected, to encourage the individuals to work together, and to maintain the high quality of their journey. While Barack Obama was progressing toward a law degree, his personal life changed dramatically during the summer of 1989. After his first year of the law school, he worked as a summer associate at the Chicago law firm Sidney Austin. The attorney who was all sensitive to show him around the firm and help train him was the only African-American authority in the office, Michelle Robinson. Barack was smarter than at first sight. Michelle, a tall, confident, long woman, with striking looks, was more skeptical of him. She could see that he was intelligent, unbothered, and charming, but she was looking for deeper qualities. Besides, she didn't think it was appropriate to date someone she worked with, but Barack presented and Michelle warmed up to him. Their first date was to see Spike Lee's movie, Do the Right Thing, about racial confidence in a military neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. The more Michelle got to know Barack, the more impressed she was by his unusual background, his work as a community organizer, and his plans for the future. She realized that he was a deep thinker person with high ideals. As for Barack, he was almost as attractive to Michelle's family as he was to her. She had grown up in a close-knit black community in Chicago. Her parents, Fraser and Miller Robinson, were also both from Chicago. The Robertsons have raised Michelle and her older brother, Craig, in a four-room bungalow on the south side. Fraser worked as a shitty pump operator in spite of being handicapped by multiple surgeries, when Mother stayed home to raise the children. Michelle's mother and father hadn't gone to college, and they were dismantled to their children would be had the chance for a better education. That encourages Michelle and Craig to work hard and respect their teachers, but also to think for themselves. Craig went to Presbyterian University on a basketball scholarship, and 2 years later, Michelle also entered a pre-session. After graduation from college, Michelle went on to Harvard Law School, graduated 2 years before Barack. Barack and Miller, the Robertsons, and he loved their stable, happy family life. Happy family life. While Barack was close with individual members of his family. For instance, he spent hours on the phone with his younger half-sister. Miller, the family as a whole was formidable and scattered over the globe. The fact that Michelle's brother, Craig, was a former college basketball star was just icing on the cake to Barack. The two lone men played pickup games together for fun, and Craig was impressed with Barack's confidence on the court. Craig was a much better player who could have made a career of professional basketball, but Barack was still eager to test his skills against Craig's. During Barack's last 2 years at Harvard Law School, he and Michelle grew closer and closer. When Michelle's father died, Barack flew to Chicago with Michelle at the funeral. In the spring of 1991, Barack graduated with high school honors from Harvard Law School. He moved back to Chicago and passed the NLS bar exam. Regardless the order to participate law, there haven't been much doubt that he would pass the exam, but he took Michelle out to dinner to celebrate. That night, he proposed marriage and she accepted. After they were engaged, Barack took Michelle to Hawaii and introduced her to his grandparents. Standing Donna was very taken with Michelle's good looks. Madeline, always no nonsense herself, cared more about whether her grandson's fiancé had a level head on her shoulders. She praised Michelle as a very sensible girl. Barack also took Michelle to Cayman so that she could meet the African side of his family when they visited Granny in Colorado. The older Carolina woman and the long American woman turned to each other immediately, ordering Obama relations like Michelle. In fact, and they were pleased that she quickly picking up a number of words and praising in the lower language. Michelle had always wanted to visit Africa, the place her actors came from. However, for this trip, she learned how American she was, and how glad she was to be American. Canadians could be put in jail just for protesting crisis for the government. Canadians who wanted to start a business or even get a job had to be someone in power first. For Barack, to visiting Canada again underscored his reputation in his own country. For his years of studying the law, he had a deeper understanding of the U.S. consumer system of the government. Barack saw, more than ever, that American democracy depended on equal opportunity and justice. and he was determined to work for these violence. Barack Obama and Michelle Robinson were married in October 1992. It was sad that Michelle's father hadn't lived to see this day. Barack's grandfather, Stanley Dunklin, too, died before the wedding. Otherwise, the wedding was a joyous occasion. Jeremiah White, the pastor and by now a good friend, performing in the ceremony at 30 shots. Their family and friends gathered from around the country and from all over the world, just on Barack saw the guest list. Two was there from Hawaii, and from Indianapolis, Maryland, Maryland, Maryland from New York, where she had just moved, Alma from Nobleville, and Wall from Washington, D.C., plus friends from Honolulu, Arkansas College, New York, Chicago, and Harvard. After the wedding, Barack and Michelle moved into a condominium in Hyde Park and middle to upper class, situated in the Medicine section of Chicago. Barack intended to join a law firm, but first he faced directly in a project vote, a program to register new voters in Chicago. It was an important election year with President George H.W. Bush, Republican, running for re-election against Democrat Bill Clinton, getting an Arkansas. Project will succeed in registering almost 150,000 new votes, most of them black. That November, they helped elect Bill Clinton to the presidency. They also elect Carla Mosul Boone, a Lower and Illinois state representative, the first African American woman to become a U.S. Senator. In 1993, Barack joined the law firm of Davis Miller, Bonner, and Garland in Chicago, that specialized in civil rights and discrimination cases. Barack, with his outstanding record at Harvard, was sought after by many law firms, and he could have made much more money participating in corporate law. But civil rights and discrimination cases were exactly the kind of work he wanted to do. At the same time, Barack began working on a book. A publisher had already given him a contract and in advance for the book in 1991, when he made news as the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. In the fall of 1992, the University of Chicago, hoping to lure Obama as a promoter faculty member, offering him a fellowship and an office where he could work on the book. Barack did set out to write a memoir and account of his personal experiences. He extended his book to be an important analyst of race relations in the United States. He thought he'd finish in 1 year, but the more he wrote, the more the book became his own personal story, and the more difficult it was to keep on schedule. During the writing, Barack exploded his often and confused and contradictory feelings about his background. He was the child of a white American mother and a black Carolinian father. He grew up in Hawaii and for a few years in Arizona, far from the mainland United States in Carolina. He experiences racial discrimination, but nothing like the officer's suggestion and presuming that most black people in the United States were familiar with. It was a lot to sort out. It took Barack more than twice as long as he accepted. Even though he often stayed out late at night to work on the book, he worked in a Campbell room off the kitchen that Michelle called the hole. Michelle thought he was trying to accomplish too much at once by a full-time job and unbelievable written project. Michelle Obama was a high achiever herself, at the time the founding director of the Chicago office of public analysts. This public service program recirculated teen training and placed young people from diverse backgrounds in paid internships with non-profit organizations. However, whatever her commitments, Michelle firmly believed in reversing time for the personal life with family and friends. Chapter 10. While Barack Obama was writing his book, he often consulted his mother to get the facts of his early life straight. And during Sonora, she had keep her secret. She has keep her second husband's last name, but changed the spelling. He lived in Andalusia for many years now. She had received a fifth deed from the University of Hawaii and a photography of opportunity. She was working in regularly to better the condition of women in developmental countries and have been one of the first to promote Marcus credit or very small loans to poor but enterprising women to help them start small business with only enough money to buy a loan or a sewing machine. A woman can earn enough to lift herself and her farm family out of poverty and send her children to school. For such a small investment, Michael Lawrence had an impressive effect for good. The ideal call and many governments as well as non-profit organizations put it to use. In 1994, Block finished his book, which by now had turned into a full-fledged modern title, Dreams from My Father, a story of race and talent and humanity. The title fit the book well. Its major theme was Barack trying to connect with his missing father and his epic background. About the same time that Dream from My Father came out, and discovered that she was seriously ill with cancer, she moved back to Hawaii where her mother cared for her, and died at the age of 52 in November 1995. Only a few months after Barack's book was published, Barack flew to Hawaii to be with her half-sister, Marilyn, and his grandmother, Melanie. They scouted in down studios, access from cliffs overlooked the south on the south side of the South Shore of Oahu. Barack was sorry that he hadn't realized how close Anne was to death, and that he had been with her when she died. He also regretted that he hadn't included more in theirs from my father by his mother, a remarkable woman who gave him his deepest reverence. I know that she was the kindest, most generous spirit I have ever known. He will live in a prophecy to the 2004 edition of Dreams, and that what is the best in me. I honor her. The first edition of Dreams from My Father receiving good reviews. The New York Times book revealed, praising the way the book was described, the phenomenon of belonging in the two different worlds. And it does belonging to neither the Washington Post book world said, thoroughly claiming insolently. Obama got up straight to the extension of the most serious question on identity, class, and race. However, Dreams for My Father sold less than 10,000 copies, not exactly a bestseller. The paperback edition sold even less, and the book ran out of print. But by, but by now, Barack was finished with writing about his past and was well into launching his politics career. In 1995, when he was 33, his first chance came up to run for elect office. Alice Palmer, the state senator for the 13th district, decided to run for Congress. That left her seat in the state legislature open. Michelle was skeptical about a political career for her husband. She disliked politics, and she doubted that Barack would succeed. She thought he was too indecent, but she supported him because he wanted to so much to try, and because she respected his goal while working for important reforms. Barack started to pull together a campaign. He would need an escalating team of volunteers to work for his election, and network of influential people who will back his candidacy, and donors to fund the campaign. Joseph Mueller, a senior partner in the law firm where Barack worked, he'd been made on Washington's legal counselor, and Miller had many valuable contracts to share. Barack also had his own contracts from his succeeding director of Project Vault in 1992, and Michelle, who had lived in Chicago all her life and had worked for Maryland Richard M. Daley as an inside, connecting Barack with some influential people in the city. And Becca, who raised about 10th the food for Obama's campaign, was Tony Roscoe, a real estate development. Obama was in favor of Chicago's policy to give development tax credits for the developmental law income sections of the city, with the tax credits. With no rundown, neighborhoods became an attractive business opportunity for developmental like Razor, and the city benefits from upgrading those sections. When Obama announced his candidacy in September 1995, Alison Palmer herself endorsing him as her replacement. But a few months later, when it seemed that she would lose the Democratic primary for the U.S. House of Representatives, she decided to go for her old seat instead. She asked Barack Obama to bow out of the race at this point, but he refused. Now Palmer turned for his most important backer into his main opponent. Alice Palmer was promoted. He had won her state Senate seat back, except that Obama's campaign chairs and her nominated politicians in order to get on the ballot. A candidate must have a essential number of registered voters sign his or her petitions. The signatures to be valid must be written to Cruz's script, not printed. Because Plummer had made the decision to run for state senate at the last minute, her sentences had been gathered and hasty. Not enough of them were valid, and so she was disqualified from running. In fact, all the other Democrats candidates were disqualified too by engaging in their petitions. Obama ran opponent positions in the Democrats' primary. Since the 13th district was heavily Democratic, He won the general election in November by a wide margin. However, Obama was not walking with open arms when he took office in Springfield, the capital of Illinois. Some black politics close to Alice Palmer felt he should have stepped aside rather than running against her. They thought Obama was more interested in his own ambassador than in the good of the black community. At one point, another state senator heckled Obama so badly that they had a shouting match on the floor of the Senate. Another reason for Illinois legislators to dislike Obama was that he was critical in no state politics. They visited his attitude. The fact that Obama had a large agreement for Hollywood only made them think of him as others. There was a great deal to criticize about on Illinois politics. It had a reputation for the cooperative. Also, there was continual fighting between groups, between Democrats and Republicans, and among the representatives of districts. Obama wondering, with all the problems facing the state as a whole, why couldn't the politics work together to solve them? For instance, employment was a problem for whites as well as blacks. Some of the black community mistrusted Obama's supports. For many years, black politics had to struggle against the white power structure to achieve everything for their people. Now, Barack Obama was saying that mutual cooperation was the best way for both blacks and whites to make progress. That sounds like he was going over to the other side. The fact that many of his black backers were white liberties made some blacks ever more suspicious. However, Obama went quietly to work. In 1998, he helped to get a campaign financial reform law passed in Illinois legitimate. The law, which populated lesson for a Saturday gets from the state contractors or lobbyists passed the state Senate easily. But Obama made some enemies among politics. He had effectiveness from set skeptics. Gradually, Obama got a reputation in the Illinois Senate, at least among Republicans and downstate Democrats, for fair and resolute dealing. The most important thing that you do in Springfield is you bring all sides of issues to the table and you make them feel they are being listened to. His experience to enjoying this. It was the same opportunity that had worked well for Obama back at Harvard Law School when he was the president of the Harvard Law Review. Obama also made an effort to scholarize with his fellow legislators. He began to play golf and popular sports among the politicians. He joined a running poker game, which helped him make some friends among Republicans as well as Democrats. Even though he often won, he still played basketball for fun and exercise, sometimes with our fellow legislators in 1998. Barack and Michelle Obama's daughter, Mary Ann, was born on the 4th of July. In the midst of his joy, Obama was determined to be the kind of father that he wishes he had, writing dreams for my father He thought long and hard about his childhood. Barack's father had left him and his mother. His stepfather had withdrawn as Barack grew older. His grandfather hadn't been able to make a good living, and his grandmother had supported the three of them. Barack didn't doubt that his father, his stepfather, and his grandfather don't have all loved him, but he felt he could do better by his own children. As Obama quickly realized, being a godfather and husband was not easy to balance with being a dedicated politician. For one thing, the Lazarus was in Springfield, 200 miles from their home. In Chicago, Barack often had to be away from home overnight, leaving Michelle to change diapers and get up when the baby cried in the middle of the night. Michelle cut back her work to a part-time job at the University of Chicago. But even so, she was tired and stressed. Barack, besides his work as state senator, still studied constitutional law at the University of Chicago. When he was home, he had paperwork to do or evening meetings to go to. In spite of concerns about his family life, Obama didn't give up his ambition to rise in the partisan war. During his first 2-year term, he took some time to travel around the southern half of Illinois. The people there wasn't his consideration, but certainly the issues he voted on the legislature affecting them. 2. Also, they might become his constituents in the future if he ran for a statewide office. In contrast to the big city of Chicago, Central and Southern Illinois were made up of farming communities and small cities. Although those areas were mainly Republicans, middle class and whites, Obama found that he felt comfortable with the downstate voters. In fact, they reminded him of his grandparents from the Midwest Danny and Madeline Dawn. That is all for Chapter 9 and Chapter 10. We're going to go to Chapter 11 and Chapter 12 for tomorrow night. I'm Joseph Crudup.